saw him hauling 5 wickets to lead Zimbabwe to a thumping 172-run victory over Scotland in the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup 11th place playoff at the Diamond Oval on Saturday. Win ensured Zimbabwe finished the tournament in 11th position out of 16 teams, the same spot they secured in the last ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup in New Zealand 2 years ago. Zimbabwe won 3 of the 6 matches they played in South Africa, 2 of the wins coming against Scotland and Canada in the plate section for placings. Now, if you take a look, of course, at that game versus Scotland, Chris, very convincing victory by Zimbabwe, 172 runs. So Zimbabwe clearly the better side, but there's no running away from the fact that after what was promised by Zimbabwe cricket and the coaching staff at the under-19s, to finish in 11th place when they had talked about challenging for the main award itself, leaves a bit of, a sour taste, and it's disappointing at the end.
It's disappointing. I don't think we've seen any improvement. If last time we were 11th, and this time again we're 11th, Zim cricket in terms of the under-19s, in terms of development, we can clearly see there, if you just look at the numbers, there's no development, there's no growth, we're not going anywhere. And it makes it even harder when there was a lot of talk beforehand, when in the warm-up stages, they had some results that we looked at and we said, you know what, if you look at these warm-up results, these guys have a chance. And we started talking them up a bit more to say that the expectations that they had set were possible.
Is this a classic case, Chris, of a team failing to handle the pressure? Because they go into that warm-up tournament. Before the warm-up tournament, you got their coach saying, oh, these guys are good enough to compete. These guys can challenge the best teams in the world. They go to this warm-up tournament. They do so well against some of the leading nations in the world. Beat New Zealand, beat South Africa, challenged India. Come the tournament proper, they fall away. And they just don't fall away, they fall badly away. Is it the case that our youngsters were unable to handle the pressure and the expectation that they built during that warm-up?
Absolutely. I think there was a lot of expectation built before the warm-up. During the warm-up, they performed exceptionally well. And now the challenge comes when you have to now exceed that, to exceed your own performance. It was fine before the warm-ups when they had just talked themselves up and we were saying, okay, so put something down so that we know exactly how far we're going to go. And they did extremely well, much better than we had anticipated in the warm-ups. So what that then does is it put a lot of pressure on them. And I think mentally they kind of faltered there.
Yeah, Coach Prosper Otsea, before the team went to the World Cup, he was talking big things, quoted as saying big things. But he's now quoted as saying, I'm happy with the victory. It was a convincing one. We needed to finish well to make sure we finished number 11 so that come the next World Cup, we don't have to go through qualifications. So on that note, I am happy. Now, this is the same guy who was saying that we could go to the semis. He is the same guy who was saying we could actually win the tournament outright. And he's now talking about how happy he is because they've secured direct qualification. And it almost sounds like he's quite aware that his job is going to come under some sort of scrutiny. And now he's talking himself up and talking this 11th place finish as an achievement.
He's talking it up as an achievement. And I think what he's managed to do in this conversation is to kind of look at the match in isolation, to say we finished well. This was our last match and we finished well. And look, they did finish. In this particular match, did they play well? Yes. Yeah. But in the rest of the lead up to this final match, they could have done so much better. And obviously, that's a result of the preparation that goes in from you as a coach. The scrutiny comes from you as a coach because you are responsible for preparing these boys, whether it's on the field or mentally as well. We attribute a lot to coaches who are able to keep their players in the game. And that's what he didn't manage to do, is after all of that warm-up where they did well, he didn't manage to keep them focused and in the game.
And of course, as Zimbabwe, the 3 victories they registered were against teams that, to be honest, we pretty much expected to beat. 2 victories versus Scotland. The first one was in the group stage where Zimbabwe beat Scotland by 8 wickets. In that same group stage, we lost to Bangladesh by 9 wickets and lost to Pakistan by 38 runs. The played quarter-final, so Zimbabwe beating Canada by 95 runs. The 9th place playoff semi-final, Zimbabwe lost to England by 75 runs. And of course, yesterday, the final match that they played was the 11th place playoff, beating Scotland by 172 runs. So you can tell that the games that we expected to win, we won. And then the games in which Prosper Otsea said we were going to challenge, we were beaten quite comfortably. Individual performances, there was some really good one, but of course Wesley Madoda, I think he stands out as an all-rounder because he appears in some of the leading run getters, the top three. He's there with 206 runs, and then he also picked up some wickets, finishing as the second highest wicket taker with 7th. Our highest wicket taker was Kumuzi Ndlela, who picked up 8 wickets. The highest run getter was Tadiwa Nashe Marumadi, who made 257 runs. Emmanuel Bauer, 239 runs, second on that list. This is ZiFM Sport talking the under-19 cricket team, who of course are campaigning at the World Cup in South Africa, finishing in a disappointing 11th place. Tell us your thoughts on our WhatsApp platform 0731 168 045. That same platform is the one that you can use to send in your hashtags if you want to take part in the Polenta NutriActive Instant Porridge Daily Sports Trivia. You send us that hashtag, that's hashtag NutriActive, and then we get to call you back if you are the lucky one. You're filled 2 questions and you'll have to get both correct in order to qualify for this month's draw.